All right, Fight Night Baku just wrapped up. Decent event. Honestly, not a bad event. There were some banger fights that honestly went to decision on this card. All in all, I don't think it was a bad card. There were some slow fights, obviously, which we'll get into later. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So, Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. I called this to the T. If you go back and watch my prediction video, I said Khalil was. Well, I didn't call it to a T because I thought Khalil would finish it in round 3 or 4. I thought Jamal was gonna go down from one of those leg kicks. Khalil was gonna pounce on him and get the TKO victory. Fight played out similarly to how I had predicted. Though I knew Khalil was gonna be chopping those leg kicks. I knew Jamal wasn't gonna check a single one of those, and they were gonna be there all night for him. And that's kind of what happened. You saw Khalil out there chopping those kicks, slowing Jamal Hill down. I mean, Jamal Hill's not the fastest guy with his movement to begin with, but Khalil slowed him down, was able to get to him with the punches. God, honestly, my prediction was almost to the T. But credit to Jamal Hill, he's tough. He bounced back up after every one of those knockdowns. Which is crazy, but yeah, I mean, it really played out to the T. I knew Khalil was going to have a speed advantage. I knew he was going to beat the legs up of Jamal Hill, which was going to allow him to get to Jamal easier. And you saw that happen on multiple occasions with those knockdowns. I don't know why they only have one knockdown here. There was at least 3-4 knockdowns in that fight. I don't know who's counting the stats, but I've noticed whoever does kind of sucks at measuring stats because, I was watching earlier fights and they had the strikes almost dead even when it was clear the other fighter had landed significantly more strikes. So I don't know who's measuring these stats, but get that shit figured out, man. For real. So, good performance by Khalil. I mean, it was kind of a slower fight. I thought it was a great, methodical performance from Khalil. And at this point, it's I know going into this fight, the narrative around Khalil was, oh, he's overrated. His best win is Anthony Smith. Look what happened in the Pereira fight. I thought he gave a good account of himself in the Pereira fight, but I think at this point, after such a clinical performance, don't get me wrong, it wasn't exciting, but dude, come on, 5 rounds to nothing, dominant, one-sided. Khalil was never in any danger whatsoever. And, I think at this point, we need to put some respect on Khalil's name, right? I think this whole overrated narrative needs to go away now. I think he's a top 5 light heavyweight. Do I think he'll be a champion? I'm not sold on that yet. That's still a tough one for me to see for Khalil, but he definitely is a top 5 light heavyweight, right? I know Jamal's not, this crazy dynamic guy in that division, but still, that's a solid win over a former champion. He shut him out 5 rounds to nothing, right? Moving on to the co-main. Again, this was one that I was just a few instances in the fight away from a perfect prediction, right? I said Fiziev wasn't going to have a problem with the range. He was going to outstrike him on the feet to a decision and outpoint him. And that's kind of what happened, despite the fact that Fiziev went for 4 takedowns. That honestly surprised me a little bit more. I thought how the fight was on the feet was going to be the whole fight. I didn't think anybody was shooting takedowns. I thought Bahamondes would shoot a few, but he wouldn't get them, and obviously that's what happened. But pretty close to what I had predicted, right? I knew the range wasn't going to be a problem. Bahamondes just is not good enough to impose that range. And there was something that Fiziev had said going into this fight that I never even thought of in the prediction was the fact that Ignacio Bahamondes doesn't really fight tall. He stalks forward and tries to finish the fight. He doesn't really fight long. He doesn't really use the range. And I think that was true in this fight. You saw him in a couple instances where he would pop the jab out. He looked decent. I thought some of the decision making in that fight was off, like jumping the guillotine in round 2. I mean, come on, dude. Almost nobody gets a guillotine in this day and age at this ranked level. I thought that was a bit of a misstep by him. And yeah, Fiziev, was doing his little matrix move that he likes to always do where he leans back out of the way of the kick and, has a good time on the feet. And it's, he was just a step ahead like I had predicted originally, right? He was a step ahead. He was landing better shots, lighting up the body, staying out of the way of the counter punches. And then obviously used the wrestling, in the second and third round to kind of run away with the victory there. So good bounce back fight for Fiziev. I knew this was going to be a good bounce back fight for him. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know really where he goes from here. I don't know if he's really a top 10 guy in this. I don't know. I could see him beating Moicano. If they matched him up with Hanato Moicano, that's really one of the only guys. I guess Chandler. Maybe Pimblett. We'll see. I don't know. I think maybe there's some decent matchups for him moving forward, but, we'll see what happens. All right, Blades Kunia, feature fight of the night. I don't know, man. Like, apparently, Curtis said in the post-fight interview that he blew his MCL out in round 1, which would definitely explain how shitty he looked. Like, this fight was way closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought Curtis, honestly, I had Curtis picked by third round KO. Because Kuniev, he kind of marauds forward and swings big punches, but, like, Blades was not making him pay for it. And I think, like, the wrestling heavy approach of Blades took away from his ability to counterpunch because he had such a wrestling heavy game plan in this fight. And I honestly thought this fight was going to be completely, like, flip-flopped from how it was, right? Like, I thought Kuniev was going to be the one pressing him against the cage, looking for takedowns, swinging in big, trying to get the fight to the ground. I thought Curtis was going to be the one stuffing the takedowns, getting back to range, popping him. Like, dude, like Curtis had, I don't know what kind of reach he had, but like Curtis had a significant reach. I think it was like 4 or 5 inches. He just did not use it. Occasionally you would see him pop the jab out there. But yeah, I mean, he looked slow. He was winging a lot of punches that were missing. The wrestling just was not there for him, which doesn't surprise me that much. Kuniev is a decent grappler and has a lot of strength. Obviously, he's one of those Dagestani guys. He's been grappling his entire life. But I just, I really thought Blades could have just kept it at range and just punished him more, and caught him on the way in since he likes to swing big looping punches. But, I guess that's because the MCL injury. It's really close fight. Kuniev just didn't do enough, right, in round 2 and 3. Like, he started good, or he did okay in round 2, didn't do anything in round 3 or round 1, right? Like, and he kind of just blobbed around in there, for lack of a better term, right? Close fight, not the greatest, really terrible performance by Curtis Blades, but again, the MCL, it is what it is. There's not much else I can say about this fight. I don't know what you do with Curtis Blades next. Give him a top 5 guy again, I guess. I don't know. If they're not going to eventually do Tom versus Cyril Gahn for the belt, maybe that could be a fight. You match up, right? Because I know he's lost to Sergey Pavlovich and things like that. So, I don't know. Pretty lackluster fight in all regards there. Okay, Tofik Musayev versus Mikdekbek Oroblai. I mean, honestly, I was a little bit shocked by this. I was a little bit surprised by this. I won't say shocked, but a little bit surprised. Like, Oroblai employed a wrestling-heavy approach early, and it worked out for him, right? Got the Kimura submission pretty quick. He looked pretty good. I know his last fight with Mateus Rebecki was an absolute war, so he's definitely an entertaining guy. And he's got levels to his game, right, with the grappling and the submission ability. So, great performance by Mikdekbek Oroblai. All right, Nazim Sadikov versus Nicholas Mata. Absolute sick fight here. Like, listen. Give Nazim Sadikov 2 bonuses, like they'd said on the broadcast. Fight of the night, knockout of the night, right? I mean, that was from bell to bell. These guys were slinging heat back and forth. Like, it was just nonstop. The punches these guys were landing on each other it was insane, right? And it was just a matter of time with a fight like this before somebody went out cold, right? Like, it's not a surprise, I mean, Sadikov, man, that's what, back-to-back knockouts? His other one was over, was it Gabriel Bonfim? I always get those Bonfim brothers mixed up. I think it was Gabriel Bonfim, not Ismail. Gabriel Bonfim, he knocked him out in his last fight. Entertaining guy, man. Like, well-rounded guy. Honestly, this was a sick fight, and I think, you give him 2 bonuses, right? Give Nicholas, obviously, fight of the night, because he landed some really good shots as well, but I mean, so far out of 2025, this is one of the best fights I've seen. Absolute war. Great job to both guys here. All right, Muhammad Naimov versus Bogdan Grad. It was an okay fight, honestly. Like, okay fight. Bogdan had a wrestling heavy approach. He was trying to take Muhammad Naimov down the whole time. Not too successful. Occasionally would get his back, but I don't think Muhammad Naimov was ever in any significant trouble in that fight. You know, he's an experienced guy. He's been fighting in the UFC for a little while now. He's good. He's well rounded. He's a big, strong featherweight. And yeah, I mean, there was a couple fights on here that I just thought was all came down to just like experience, right? And just, you know, IQ in there, you know. And I just think Muhammad Naimov had more IQ. Bogdan looked good, you know. He had some ground control time, but other than that, Muhammad Naimov, you know, was in control most of this fight. Okay, this fight right here, Seong Young Ko versus Obon Elliott, honestly surprised me. Like, I had Obon Elliott going into this. I thought Obon Elliott was going to beat this guy. UFC got this guy's record wrong. Like, I remember doing my predictions, and it said Seong Young Ko was 1-0 coming into this fight. That is a crock of shit. There's no way he's 1-0. I haven't looked up his record yet, but he's not 1-0. I promise you that. Honestly, he impressed me. Like, the guy is dangerous on the feet. He's good on the ground. His control, his top game was insane, right? Like, he had really good top control. He was kind of, anytime Obon would move, he would kind of cover. He would float around. He was covering the hips. Everything Obon did, this guy had an answer for it on the ground. And yeah, I mean, there just wasn't much coming back. Obon Elliott just did not have much for Ko, right? Like, I will say, though, moving forward, you know, the way he keeps his hands, that's definitely going to be an opening for future opponents who have a little bit better takedown defense, maybe a bit more strength than Obon had, because, you know, Obon really couldn't make him pay by having the hands low because he was afraid of the takedown. Because this guy, I guess Seong Young Ko has a judo background. Really good takedowns, right? Obviously 6 of 9. That's pretty damn good in a UFC fight, percentage-wise. So yeah, he was threatening with the takedowns, which, you know, made it to where Obon really wasn't throwing anything big coming in his direction, right? I really want to see once he starts facing stiffer competition, like, how that's going to affect him, because he carries the hands really low. He's definitely open for that shot, but all in all, really dominant performance in a UFC debut over a guy who was Obon was on a 8-fight win streak, I believe, or 9. I can't remember what they had said going into that, but that's a solid win in your debut. So I definitely think Seong Young Ko is going to be a guy to look out for moving forward. Okay, Ismail Nardiev versus Jung Young Park. Thank God Jung Young Park won. The Iron Turtle. That nickname is so suiting. Like, dude, at what point do we just... Seriously, like, this is insane. It took 2 eye pokes and an illegal knee for the ref to deduct points. You know, we saw some fouls throughout the night. We saw some cage grabs, eye pokes, nut shots. Nothing ever gets called, dude. You are literally allowed to cheat in a UFC fight. You're literally allowed to cheat in a UFC fight. Unless you knee someone to the fucking head when they're on the ground, you're going to get to cheat and poke guys in their eyes all night, knee them in the nuts, kick them in the nuts, whatever you want to do, man. You're good. You're good. You can get away with it. Losing the fight, no biggie. Nut shot. Poke them in the eye a little bit, you know? Not enough to stop the fight, not enough to, like, really destroy their vision out of one eye, but, you know, just, if you're losing, hey, pop some fingers out there, you know? Hit a shot up the middle. Hit a shot up the middle, right in the nuts. Honestly, like, I'm so happy Jung Young Park won this fight. I can't believe he continued after that knee. That was nasty. That busted up his eye really good. It's crazy. Like, some of these guys are so blatant about it. It's just, at what point do we keep believing that these guys just aren't meaning to do this shit? When it's like 1, 2, 3 times, like, I understand you might not mean, dude, you gotta have some awareness in there. Like, this is the kind of shit that can change fights, right? Luckily, it didn't. Jung Young Park, you know, really gutted it through, came back, won the rest of the round. won the next round. Yeah, man, he's always been an underrated guy. Like, he's fundamentally sound. You know, he's not a guy who's ever going to go in there and underperform mentally. He's never going to underperform. You're going to get what you get with him. Is he a top guy? No, but I mean, he's always just been a solid fundamental guy who's well-rounded everywhere. He's always in your face. He's got a great chin. And yeah, I mean, he out-experienced him, went in there, despite this motherfucker cheating, blatantly cheating multiple times in here, poking him in the eyes twice, kneeing him in the head kneeing him in the eyeball while his knees are down. Jung Young Park still gets it done. Great win for him. Yeah, I mean, come on, we got to start having stiffer penalties on these guys. Like, you're just, I mean, why would you, at this point, like, as bad as it sounds, why would you not cheat? I mean, obviously, don't knee someone to the head when they're on the ground because you will get deducted for that, or the fight will end in a DQ. But, you know, shit, go poke him in the eyes. Go kick him in the nuts. Why? I mean, why not? You're not going to get called for it, right? I mean, we've got to start calling this shit. Seriously, because, like, this is the kind of stuff that, like, really impacts careers when guys do this. So, good win for Jung Young Park on that one. Daria Zelezniakova versus Melissa Mullins. Bit of a surprise here. I know Daria's kind of been up and down in her career, but in this fight, she looked really good. She was, you know, she was controlling the striking game over Mullins. Obviously, Mullins had a significant advantage in the ground game, but just really, I don't know. It seems like every time she would get her down, it's like there just wasn't enough time for her to do anything. Or Zelezniakova would get back up decently quickly. You know, she was out there using her range, busting Melissa Mullins up all night. You know, this was just the night of the upsets. Like, you know, obviously, like, decent fight. Not you know, one of the better fights on the card, but good performance by Zelezniakova. Good bounce back win. Good underdog win for her, too, because I know Melissa Mullins has been on a bit of a win streak in the UFC lately. So, nice work by Zelezniakova there. Irina Alekseeva versus Claudia Segula. Man, I heard all week going into this. I watched a lot of other prediction videos. You know, this lady was calling her, Alekseeva was calling herself the Russian Ronda. She had a little bit more hype around her. Claudia Segula, you know, was big underdog in this fight. But honestly, Segula surprised me. Segula is good. She looked really good on the feet. I mean, she would be in there landing a 2 or 3 piece combo, 3 piece and a soda, and she got the fuck out of Dodge before anything came back her way, right? It was like, in, pop, 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 out. In, pop, pop, out. In, boom, boom, big overhand, big hook, out. You know, Alekseeva obviously got tired towards the end of the second and the third round because, like, she was swinging at air all night, right? Like, she was trying to maraud forward, and, you know, Segula would land a good combo, and then she'd be out of there. She'd be circling. She'd be off the center line. Alekseeva would be winging punches, swinging at air. And that's how most of this fight went, honestly. Like, it was just Alekseeva swinging at air, Segula landing good combos, and then getting out of there. I thought it was a really good performance from Segula. And then when it came to the grappling, Alekseeva was supposed to have a clear advantage there and didn't, right? Segula gets a takedown at the end of the third and lands some good ground and pound to finish up the fight. Like, hey, great performance and another good underdog win on that one. Tagir Ulanbekov, Azat Maksum. Okay, sick fight, right? Obviously, not a casual, crazy, like, Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner, or a knockdown, drag-out, swing for the fences kind of fight, but this was a high-level fight in the flyweight division. You know, like, I definitely think Maksum, first and foremost, I think this guy, you're going to see him in the rankings in the near future. Really, really good performance by him. I just honestly think he was not moving forward enough. He was kind of allowing Tagir Ulanbekov to dictate on the feet. He was moving forward a lot more. You know, he was outpointing him a little bit here and there. I know the strikes don't really tell that story, but I just think Azat Maksum was not aggressive enough. Like, he would blitz in occasionally and land some nice punches. He'd get in the clinch. He'd land some nice dirty boxing shots inside. But I just think he let Tagir dictate a little more than he should have. Tagir was pressing forward, shooting takedowns, pinning him against the cage. Crazy takedown defense from Azat Maksum, though. Like 0 of 8 for Tagir Ulanbekov. I mean, he would get so fucking deep on some of these takedowns. I'm like, oh, this guy's going for a ride easily. And Azat would almost like let him in deep on the hips, get picked up, and then somehow swivel his hips out of there without even grabbing an underhook. I've never seen someone defend takedowns like that in a fight. It was bizarre. Like, and I thought Azat had a little bit of a wrestling advantage here. Like, we started seeing that late, like him getting the better of the wrestling exchanges and the scrambling. Like, I think maybe he should have went to that earlier or pressed forward more. I think he just allowed Tagir to press forward a little bit more than he should have. That's why Tagir took the fight or won the fight. But man, sick high level fight, full of action. It's always great watching some higher level flyweights, and how fast they are and how the technique that these guys have to have, because most of these guys down in these divisions don't have the power to finish a fight. So their skills have to be top notch, right? And this is a hardcore dream matchup here. Like, this was a hardcore performance. Like, it was similar to, like, it wasn't as good, but it was similar to Gamrot versus Sarukian, right? Like, they call it just like a hardcore dream, right? Where it's skills at the highest level from both men, and they just go out there and get after it. And I just thought it was a really technical, high level matchup. And I thought it was exciting. Some people might disagree, but I mean, honestly, like, how can you not be entertained by the speed of this fight, the skill set, the wrestling, the striking? I mean, these guys all put it together, and Azat, I think he'll bounce back after this. I just think moving forward, he needs to be a little bit more aggressive, especially when, you're dealing with guys that have a wrestling threat, that are kind of more experienced. I just think experience got Moxum on this one, right? Tagir was just a little bit more active, right? And you started seeing him land more of those shots early. And yeah, I mean, obviously solid win by Ulanbekov, and really good account by Moxum. I look forward to seeing him fight in the future. All right, down to the first fight of the card, Hamdi Abdelwahab, Muhammad Usman. I mean, meh. This is one of those meh kind of fights. Like, dude, Usman, like, Muhammad Usman, I don't want to confuse him with Kamaru, but Muhammad, like, he kind of drives me crazy because I feel like he's athletic. But he just, dude, the guy is like Tyron Woodley 2.0. All this guy does is just play this tentative counterpunch game where he's looking for that big shot off the counter, right? Like, he's waiting for, like, he's allowing his opponent to move forward, kind of dictate, and look for that big counterpunch. Like, I mean, let's be honest. Like, if this was any, like, heavyweight that was decent, he loses his fight. He loses his fight because he's just not active enough. He doesn't throw enough. Again, I think these strikes are super deceiving, in my opinion, right? I know Usman picked it up in the second and the third, but still, like, dude, I'd like to see more activity out of that guy because, like, he clearly had an athleticism advantage. I think he had a power advantage. Obviously, the wrestling wasn't going to be there. Humvee's an Olympian and Greco-Roman from the 2016 games. You're not going to take that guy down. The wrestling advantage wasn't going to be there because I know Muhammad Usman has a pretty good wrestling game as well, right? Like, but obviously that wasn't going to be there. But clearly on the feet, there was a speed advantage. There was a power advantage. There was an athleticism advantage. And in the heavyweight division, like, just athleticism alone, like, speed and athleticism is such a huge advantage to have in that division. And I feel like, a guy like Muhammad Usman, like, you would like to see him pour on these guys a little bit more. These kind of blobby, slower heavyweights. You'd like to see him pour it on a little bit more, get a little bit more aggressive, and start putting some of these guys away, right? Like, it's just kind of boring fights from him, and that's cost him before. That's cost him. Like, he's just too damn tentative, which I don't understand. Like, your brother is a future Hall of Famer, was a 5-time defending welterweight champion. You've got world-class coaches in your corner, like Sugar Rashad Evans was cornering him, and it's like, I don't know. Mentally, I don't know. There might be something off with this guy. He looked okay tonight, but I just feel like something mentally is off with him because, like, dude, he clearly has the athleticism in the heavyweight division. He has the physique. You know, he's not a blob. He's athletic. He can wrestle. He's got knockout power. You know, he wobbled Hamdi a few times. But, like, his performances are so subpar. And, like, on the feet, I don't know what was going on there. Like, he was really off. Like, he looked so tentative tense on the feet. Like, Hamdi would, like, throw a strike and he would get out of the way and he would, like, stumble over his feet. I haven't seen that from him before, so I don't know. Maybe he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but, like, damn, like, compared to most of these guys, like, look at this guy. Look at this blob here. Like, look at this guy. Look at Usman. Like, honestly, like, I feel like he could maybe even get ranked if he just starts getting after it a little bit more. You know? I mean, you're one punch away in the heavyweight division from putting these guys away, right? You know, you don't have to be the fastest. You just have to be, like, a little bit more well-built than these guys and a little bit faster, and you're good, man. You can start rising the ranks. So, I don't know. It was an okay fight. Like, gotta see more out of Muhammad Usman, though. Like, I feel like he's got a lot more potential than what he's showing. He's got the camp. His brother is Kamaru Usman. He's got all the pieces around him. He's got a team around him. He's got the talent. It's just, I don't know, man. Subpar performances for him. But, yeah, that's the recap of the fights here. Honestly, like, decent fight night. I thought there was some really high-level scraps, even though they went to decision. You know, co-main and main were a little bit anticlimactic there, especially this one. This one sucked. But other than that, you know, I feel like there was some decent scraps. There was really good scraps on this fight. You know, not the greatest fight card, but shit, it was better than the last one. Like, I'm being honest there. So, yep, that's my breakdown. That's my recap. Let me know, like, what you guys think in terms of, like, bonuses. Like, do you guys agree? You know, should Sadikov get 2 bonuses? Because I think he should just get 2 bonuses. Like, fuck everyone else. Like, give that man 2 bonuses, right? Fight of the night, knockout of the night. Or performance of the night. Either way. Give that man 100 G's. All right. Peace.